Well, I want to take just a few minutes with all you missionary types and kind of go over what I try to do calendar-wise. And I'd like to start off first with what I think you ought to do record-keeping-wise. Something that I try to do, and I strongly suggest that you do. I try to keep, I have a calendar here. Well, don't know how to get that to you. I have a calendar here. I keep a monthly average so that I know exactly where I was every month. I've got Sunday school, AM, PM, and Thursday night services, and I started keeping those records. And then every week I write it down in my calendar, the service attendance. I know where I was 1 year ago. I know where I was last week. Fact is, this past Thursday night, July the 26th, is the first time that we were down from the year before. We had 11 people out on the mission field, and we were down from 65 a year ago to 63 on Thursday night, which is we lost 2 people in a year's time. And so I think the first thing about your calendar, you want to keep a calendar so that you'll be able to know exactly how much growth you're experiencing. And so you have to keep your finger on the pulse. You have to know your attendance. You have to know your offerings. You have to know how many people are getting saved. You have to know what kind of activities you're doing. And so you want to try to keep up with as much as history as you can. History will help you foretell the future. History will help you know where you're going to be as you keep on traveling and as you go forward. So I would challenge you to begin keeping very detailed records. And I should be able to ask you, what was your attendance last month? You should be able to say, well, this is what we averaged last month in each of these services. I should be able to ask you what big days you've had that helps you bring that attendance up. And we ought to be able to try to see a growth rate. Now, our goal is to grow at least 40% a year. And if we can give that down to every Sunday school class, that every class would grow by 40%. That means every 2 years our Sunday school would double. I'm sure you've heard of Josh Hunt, who has stuff on the internet that you can download where he talks about doubling your Sunday school. And I want to do that at least till we get a little bit larger. I want us to be doubling. And so from 1 year to the next, we are so far seeing not quite double, but maybe 30-40% a year. So you want to set a growth goal. You want to know how much you're trying to grow. The next thing I want to do is I want to go through my calendar, and I want to pick out every major day that would be a normal, natural day. Father's Day, Mother's Day, Independence Day, any holidays. I want to pick all those days out. I want to get them on my calendar. I want to write down those days, and I don't really need to do a lot for those days because those days are naturally going to build on their own. Then I want to go through my calendar, and I want to pick all the days I know are going to be bad days. I know they're going to be bad days to start with. These are days that are holidays, that are travel days, summer days. You know that you have growth times at different times of the year. You're going to grow in the United States. You're going to grow mainly in the spring and in the fall. In the dead of winter, growth will be a little bit harder because it gets dark early. People go home. They kind of hole up in their houses. In the summertime, the sun's out and they're gone traveling around the country. So we've really got about 6 months growing period a year, 3 in the spring, 3 in the fall. So you know that it's going to work something like that in your country. And so get all your big days where it's automatically going to be good. Get all the days it's going to be bad. Then what I would try to do, there are certain natural growth barriers that you want to work on. Barriers like 125. The early church had 120 in the upper room. That's the first barrier that we tend to run into in our churches. So if I can get over 120 on a consistent basis, then I'm probably going to be okay to 200, 225, 250 in my growth. And then when I bust 200, it's like you have little roofs, like you have techos. It's like you have ceilings that you can't get past. And so what I want to do is I want to start planning large days where I will willingly spend money to bring people in. Now I want to talk to you about some of those big days on another one of these little podcasts. But I would go through my calendar, and I would seek out days that I could use, that I could set up as a big day that would automatically bring forth some growth. And so then try to set up at least 3 or 4 of them every growing season. Then you work up to them and you work off of them. And I'll give you more on that later. If you'd like to ask some questions, you feel free to write. I'll be interviewing missionaries, interviewing different people on others of these little videos, but that's just a touch on the calendar. God bless you.